Since we don't have name tags, perhaps we should introduce ourselves. My name is Paul Thomas. I was a vegetable judge with the All-Americas for approximately 30 years and currently retired from peat of seed.
I'm Teresa Beck-Bunn. This is my first year judging the All-Americas at peat seed, taking over the judging responsibility from Paul, and enjoying it very much.
Thank you. The purpose of this demonstration is to actually go through a evaluation of the All-America entry on some vegetables that are currently ready, and to give some sort of an idea how decisions are made on the evaluation of these items, and how we decide to vote for or not vote at all on some of them. So what are we going to look at today, Teresa?
We have a number of species out here, but what we have ready today are seedless watermelon and okra. They were both seeded on April 13th and transplanted on May 11th.
Well, let's go on down and take a look at them.
This is the planting of watermelon for the All-America judging. There are 3 entries in this planting, 25 plants per entry. Everything is on drip irrigation here. The first entry is a seeded sugar baby type. The other 2 are seedless types. One is a red, one is a yellow. In the planting, we have to plant a pollinator, and that's planted every 2 rows, and you can see that in the center being a striped melon, and on the far right also.
It's interesting because you can get some sort of an idea of the vine vigor and the coverage of the fruit, which gives it good sunburn protection. So that's one of the characters that we want to evaluate when we go through this.
Shall we look at the first one?
Surely.
94V16 is the entry. 94V16C is the check. The description on the entry is a F1 early sugar baby type with dark green skin, red flesh, high sugar content, good taste, only containing a few small seeds, thin rind but tough. It's described as being 5 days later than sugar baby and tolerant to anthracnose, fusarium wilt, and virus diseases. The advantages to the home gardener is listed as easy to grow and with good fruit setting ability, good taste, and quality. The claims of uniqueness are an improved sugar baby containing few and smaller seeds, very good taste, thin but tough skin.
Well, when you look at it, it probably does fit the sugar baby maturity, and although it's a little later, and shape and size. However, it doesn't have the solid dark skin as sugar baby, but I think it's probably close enough to have sugar baby type or the jade star as a comparison.
The rind is fairly thin too.
Yeah, and the color on it doesn't look too bad. Brown seed coat color is possibly questionable.
Yeah, it's not real attractive as far as contrast. I think the black-seeded contrast with the red flesh is a little more appealing.
And the one nice thing about watermelon, in order to adequately evaluate it, one must taste it. So what do you say we give it a try?
Okay.
There's a knife. Flavor's okay. It tastes like a watermelon.
It's very sweet.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's try the comparison. I think it might have the edge in flavor, don't you?
Yeah, it tastes a little bit.
Tastes a little sweeter. It's a little more crisp. I think I would prefer the comparison as far as the flavor is concerned.
I don't know what advantages I would see in the entry over the check variety either, and especially for the home garden, it looks like all the fruit are ready at the same time out in the plot, and I don't think that that would really be an advantage to the home gardener.
The other thing, when we were looking at the vines, there's considerably more sunburn on the entry. The vine is not quite as vigorous, does not give us good coverage. So to me, that would also be a detraction. Also being a little later than the comparison. Home gardeners, earliness is very important to them. And I would think that it really doesn't show any distinct advantage over the comparison.
We also did a yield test where we counted number of fruit, and it had no advantage over the check. It was the same number of fruit, and the maturity was just a few days later. So that's not an advantage there.
I think it's a nice watermelon, but I don't really feel that it would be worthy of reward. Do you?
No, and I worry about the thinness of the rind too. I wonder how susceptible it would be to cracking if you mismanage the water on it.
Yeah, it would be sensitive, I'm sure. So how would you score it then?
I would tend not to give it any points.
Yeah, I think it's probably not a bad watermelon, but I don't think it's superior to what they compared it to. So I would agree with you. How do you determine when you're going to pick a watermelon, Teresa?
Well, there's a number of ways. You can check for the tendril at the stem end here, and if it's dried up and shriveled, that's a good indication the melon's ripe. Also, the change in color of the belly spot where the melon touches the ground is a good indication when it changes color. The other way to check is just to thump it and listen for that kind of hollow resonance, and that's another good indication of when it's ripe. Our second entry is a hybrid seedless red icebox type. Green skin, deep red flesh, good flesh texture, seedless. The advantages to home gardeners are listed as productive, good flavor, good for shipping and storage, seedless. Claims of uniqueness, icebox type seedless watermelon, high sugar content and good taste, deep red flesh. And there are 3 comparisons to go with the entry.
Looking at the vine on the entry, it was interesting because the fruit was fairly exposed, but it seemed like that gray color reflects the light, and we didn't notice the sunburn or sunscald as we did on the first entry. The fruit, everything was very uniform. The fruit shape and size was extremely uniform. The question I have on the comments on the entry, though, is why they would enter something like this for shipping and handling. It seemed to me like it might not be what we're really interested in or looking for. Because as a comment to that, generally the gray types, which this certainly fits into, are probably a little more sensitive to a very serious watermelon disease called watermelon fruit blotch. And so if they want to ship them, they want to stay out of those kind of areas.
What would be the advantages to having a seedless watermelon as a home gardener? It seems to me with the necessity of having to put in a pollinator row, it would be a lot of trouble.
Actually, the advantages of a seedless watermelon is that there seems to be an increase in sugars, and there's sweeter melon. Of course, you don't have the seeds. That's the major point. You get some white seed coats in there, but you can chew through those. Occasionally, you'll get a little black seed, but overall, it's very close to being seedless. The other thing is that these will hold longer in the garden or in the field than will the normal or the diploid. They seem to have better field storage, so they don't just break down on you as quickly. The difficulty with them is it's a little bit expensive on seed, and also they're more complicated to grow. In all reality, they should be transplanted. Soil temperature is extremely important in growing them. Soil moisture is important, and overall, and then you have to have the pollinator, and you can't function. As you noticed in the trials, there's about one pollinator to one seedless, and sometimes that's a problem for home gardeners. But the quality is certainly there. They're an excellent eating melon. What are some of the characteristics that we look for?
Well, for home garden, I think You want to look at how concentrated your fruit ripening is. When I grow something in my garden, I don't want it all to get ripe at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be one consideration. The other would definitely be the flavor of the melon.
I think flavor would rate very high. Earliness would be important, I believe. Productivity.
Productivity.
Need lots of fruit, and appearance. I would certainly be impressed by something that has superior appearance, whether it be color or uniformity or whatever. I think vine vigor plays an important role because it may come about through disease resistance or whatever, but it sustains the plant, the fruit, and I think it also helps in creating sugars. Okay, shall we go on to, we haven't decided on this one. What are we going to do?
This is a difficult one because they all seem to be about as productive. There's not a whole lot of difference in some of the characteristics, and I think...
What are the pluses?
The topic of debate that we've had is whether a seedless versus a seeded would be, whether a seedless would be of advantage to the home gardener.
Right, but when we compare these four, right? What are the advantages that it would have over any of the other three comparisons, do you think?
I think the only one that we pointed out was the better vine characteristics that give better fruit protection.
So that really kind of question as to whether you award anything or don't, right?
Right. It doesn't seem to have any better flavor characteristics. It's not earlier. The yield isn't any better.
No, it's a very nice melon, and I think it could fit into the home garden trade very nicely, but I would question just whether it is justifiable to give it any points over either 2 or 3 in particular.
I would agree.
Would you agree?
Yeah. Our third entry is a hybrid seedless yellow icebox type. It's described as having green skin with dominant stripes. Flesh is deep yellow and fine texture and seedless. The advantages to home gardeners being vigorous growth, productive and easy to grow, good-looking fruit with bright yellow flesh, good flavor, and seedless. Claims of uniqueness: icebox type seedless watermelon, yellow flesh, very fine texture, and good taste.
I noticed when we were looking at it in the trials, the entry seemed to be rather, it lacked uniformity. There were different sizes, some large ones and some medium-sized ones.
And it was not as productive as the comparison variety. It had 24 fruit in the plot, and the comparison had 34.
Well, just looking at it here, the flesh color is much paler than the comparison.
Yeah, and there's seeds, too.
And there's seeds. Yes, indeed there are. Do you think we ought to taste it?
I don't know. You want to?
Yeah, let's. And get some seeds under the plates. Yeah.
Ew.
That's bad.
The texture is really mealy.
Maybe we should clean our palate with the entry,
Okay,
huh?
let's do that.
Or the comparison. That's excellent. Much sweeter.
Much, much sweeter, and it doesn't have that